Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, or morning, wherever you are watching this. The semifinals of the FIDE World Cup 2025 has produced our two finalists. It's gone down to tie breaks, four very eventful draws over the last 2 days, but we do finally have our two finalists, and we do also have two players who have qualified for the candidates. We start off with this matchup. Nodirbek Yakubboev versus Yaakovir Sindarov, two best friends, two countrymen, or maybe not best friends, but childhood friends. Emotional over their classical games. Now it is all business. Nodirbek Yakubboev has the white pieces. He plays d4. We get d5, c4, and e6. Queen's gambit declined. Knight f3, knight to f6, knight to c3, and c6. So transition into the triangle defense or the semi-Slav defense, which we have seen before. Bishop to g5, knight bd7, and now we get this capture, and e3. h6, bishop drops back to f4, knight to h5, looking to secure the bishop, and there's nothing really white can do about it. So we put it there on e5, knight takes e5, pawn takes e5. You might think it would be better to take with the knight, because then, ooh, that knight's hanging, and I'm going to get nice attacking stuff. But knight to f6, and actually black is slightly better. Crazy how chess works sometimes. So we get takes, and now g6. Why? Because the idea is very simple. I'm not playing bishop to g7. You would think that was the idea, to target this. No. Bishop's coming out this way. Because if I manage to take this, I'm going to permanently wreck your structure. So castles, queen e7, queen d4, knight g7. The fianchettoed knight, the most powerful chess piece ever. a3, bishop to c5, attacks the queen, queen slides back, and now bishop to g4. So black really activating their pieces, not to mention Sindarov does now have a 2-minute, 90-second time advantage. Remember, they're playing a rapid game. This was the 15-minute game. Both tiebreaks were settled inside the 15-minute portion. It was not a very long day of chess. Knight to a4. Bishop to b6, knight takes b6, e takes b6, and now queen to d4, centralizing the queen. This is what you want to do. You're threatening various discoveries. But first we get bishop takes f3, bishop takes f3. Black's structure is pretty solid. White still has this huge problem, but they can get rid of it with something like e5. So you've got to be careful. But there is knight to f5, which would attack the queen. So you've got to be very careful about it. We play b5. That pawn was hanging. And now bishop to d1. Which looks silly, but you're kind of just getting out the way, and you don't know where it is exactly you want to put your bishop, because it could go back there, could go here, could go here, could go here, could go here, etc., etc. You're not sure where to go. We get short castles. Now the sting of e6 is kind of taken out. And now look at that, bishop to c2. That's where we want the bishop. This diagonal is important. Targeting things, e6 is still now a threat. So we get knight e6. Now you can't play it, you kick out the queen. Queen drops back to c3, and now queen to c5. Offer a queen trade. Queen trades are probably beneficial for black. The knight would get in, have some targets, but also the more pieces you trade off, the weaker these pawns get. So we trade. Strange. f4, which kind of secures everything just a wee bit. This knight can't really jump forward at the moment. This bishop, which is 3 squares away, controls it. But knight to a4. Now, if you would like to take, you would actually just fix my structure, the one problem black had. So instead we play rook ab1. Knight drops back to b6. King f2, and now knight to c4. Where I have pressure on all of your weaknesses. And you can't push this pawn because then I take here. So, rook fd1, now king g7. And this game is going to be settled in an endgame. We get this trade. Now, white's weakness is kind of gone. It's not doubled. And black has now lost their key knight, but probably improved their structure. While it still has double pawns, this is probably a better improvement of that. g3, rook e6, and now rook bc1. A first mistake. With less than a minute on the clock, Nodirbek Yakubboev is down to 50 seconds. And Yaakovir Sindarov has 6 minutes and 30 seconds. So he has really applied the pressure to Nodirbek, and there's not much you can do now. Now you're really bust. Rook e4 is the best move. It's a very thematic move because you disable the pawn from moving. You can then double to put pressure. You're also guarding this. You're also threatening this. b5 is chosen first, and we form the legendary pawn diamond. Rook d4, now rook ae8, and now we get rook to c3. But king f6. And the mobility of black is the problem. King f3 now is losing if you play king e7 and walk this way to go and get in here. Instead we get h5. Now white can save everything if they play b3, which they do. Nodirbek might have just saved his game. g5 now, trying to crack down. Takes, king takes. Takes, check first, and now we take back. We do open white's rook, but we're not worried about that at the moment. a4. Very good idea. You want to strike at everything. Rook a8. Takes, check first, and now take back. And this is a huge problem for white to deal with. e4, rook b2, rook d5 check, king slides back. Rook c1, rook c6, e5, c3, rook d3, c2. Game over. Nodirbek Yakubboev simply resigns. He has 13 seconds left on the clock, and this position is indefensible. Because if you play something like rook d2, right? I'm going to be playing rook b1. And there's nothing you can do. You can take here, but I take here with check. And you go down a rook. And then I push this pawn, and I win. And this pawn is not far enough. My king always catches it. So our first candidate, our first finalist, is Yaakovar Sindarov. And who will be joining him? Who will be playing him in the biggest match of the year? One-on-one match of the year. Will it be Wei Yi, or will it be Andrey Esipenko? Wei Yi has the white pieces, Esipenko has the black pieces. Again, two eventful draws between the two. Esipenko probably missed a bit of a chance in the second game. Wei Yi sacrificed everything to get a draw in the first. You can go check those out. e4, e5, knight f3, knight c6, bishop to c4, an Italian game. Bishop to c5, the gioco piano. c3, the gioco pianissimo. Knight f6, d3. h6, b4. Typical Italian stuff. We expand on the queen side. a6 now must be played. Short castles. d6. Knight bd2. Short castles. Bishop to b3. Rook e8. Knight jumps out to c4. Bishop to a7. Bishop to e3. Bishop to e6. Takes. Takes. Rook e1. Rook a8. Knight drops back to e3. Queen d7. This has all been played before. Just by the way. All been played before. We get a5, bishop takes b3, queen takes b3, and now knight drops back to e7. And it's going this way, and then we're going to have this typical Italian structure. White looks to really fight on the queen side, and just kind of repel the black attack on the king side. So we get rook ad1, knight to g6, and now knight to f5. That knight is golden, that's what you want in the Italian. But we get d5. Now, obviously, you can take. You're more than welcome to, but you do hang a knight. So we just be patient. We play c4. D takes e4. Pawn takes e4. Discovered attack on the queen. Queen to c6. Now, this is a weakness. A huge weakness. And this is under threat. But Wei Yi defends. Queen to c2. And now king f8. Looks silly, but you're kind of just getting out the way of stuff. And you might need your king now as we approach an endgame. So we get g3, rook ad8, rook d3, a lovely move. Because obviously now, if knight takes, you can play rook takes probably, and rook takes, and there's all sorts of tactics. But rook takes d3, queen takes d3, king g8 now, just some waiting moves. Knight d2, queen d7, we trade queens. And the advantage shoots up for white. Knight b3. Knight gf8, rook d1, f6, b5, king f7, knight e3, and Wei Yi just begins to put pressure on Esipenko. He solidifies everything, and everything's advanced. All his pieces are advanced as he now puts pressure, unimaginable pressure, on Esipenko. And he just can't deal with it. He gets to c6. Now everything looks level. In fact, the engine thinks that Esipenko is better in this position. But this king is not safe. This is a permanent weakness as long as white can defend this pawn. The king is well advanced. This is a weakness. 100% I give it to you, but you can't play rook a2. You can maybe, your idea is to, I don't know, do something. Trading here is devastating. So you have to play something like rook a4, target the knight. But I can play rook b5. Now knight d4 simply looks like it's going to win something. It's not winning anything. Check. You can come up. Now check. You can come forward. Knight takes f6. Taking a pawn is a bad idea because of rook a3 check. King d2. Now, the players are under immense time pressure. Wei Yi has 24 seconds. And after Esipenko makes this move, which is check, he has 1 minute and 7 seconds. So the remainder of this game, the final finalist, a spot in the candidates guaranteed, is going to be decided under time pressure. King c2. King takes c6. That was white's biggest threat. It's gone. Rook h8. Rook a2 check. A mistake. Because now king d3. Rook takes h2. Seems logical. You're taking a pawn and you're defending your biggest weakness. Knight g4 is a miss because the best move for white here is to play king e3. King e3. And then bring the knight in. And then bring the knight back to g4. You've got to do it in this move order. Knight g4 comes first. And now we can play rook g2. Knight takes h6. Rook takes g3. Knight to f5. Attacks the rook. Rook slides back to g2. Rook h7 is losing. Wei Yi is losing. To 2 moves. To rook a2. And to rook b2. If he goes to one of these 2 squares, Esipenko probably wins this game. But he plays king b6. And now loses to knight e3. And you've got decisions to make. But Esipenko, with 25 seconds, played c6. And just hung a rook. And Wei Yi is going to the FIDE World Cup final. And more importantly, Wei Yi is in the Candidates tournament. Because Esipenko just hung a rook.